When I was a child, I used to go to the neighborhood park after school with my friend and I used to play there until sunset. I remember we always wore our school uniform and we would put our backpack in the corner of the park before starting to run around and play. Our favorite game wasn't exactly clear. We mostly just enjoyed chasing each other. We'd always play rock, paper, scissors to decide who would be the first and have others chase them. No part of this game was normal, but it was so exciting. We were trying to find a good hiding spot or somewhere that others couldn't catch us. To be honest, remembering this today made me realize all these silly things we used to do as a kid. As I was thinking of my childhood memories, I realized we repeated these activities like a daily habit. But now, we don't do any of them. They don't really suit our age now. Then, it hit me. I should make a detailed video for you explaining all the ways to talk about past habits in English. In this video, you'll learn 10 ways to discuss past habits in English. Here is Did Academy. Our job is to turn our language teaching expertise into videos. And today, we want to dive into past habits. Used to is used to express habits or actions in the past that no longer happens in the present. This structure indicates that something happened regularly or repeatedly in the past but doesn't occur anymore. Used to can even be used in questions and negative sentences. I used to play soccer every weekend. She used to live in Paris when she was a student. Did you used to play tennis? I didn't used to like vegetables. An important point about pronouncing used to. The D sound isn't pronounced. Also notice how when we have did or didn't in the sentence, we write used to in its base form and we delete the D. In English, would is used with the base form of the verb to indicate past habits or repeated actions. This structure is especially common when telling stories or talking about past memories. Although would have many different functions, here we are only focusing on the past habit function. When we were kids, we would ride our bikes all day. Every evening, he would read a story to his children. When I was a child, I would visit my grandparents every summer. A small point, we don't use would for past when we are talking about facts or things that are always true. For example, we don't say, when I was a child, I would have blue eyes. Having blue eyes isn't a specific past habit that no longer repeats. Rather, it is a fact about the past and maybe the present. When we use the simple past tense along with adverbs of frequency like often, always, usually, frequently, regularly, or rarely, we can express past habits or repeated actions. He often played tennis after work. We usually went to the beach during the holidays. She rarely forgot her love. This structure is used to express continuous or repeated actions in the past. Kept means to continue or repeat an action, and the following verb takes the ing form. This structure can also be used to show an action that went on for some time. He kept calling me until I answered. They kept asking the same questions. He kept practicing until he got it right. Memorize this structure because it is very useful for describing habituals or repeated actions in the past, especially when those actions may have been annoying or noticeable somewhat. He was always complaining about something. They were always arriving late to meetings. She was always losing her keys. When you want to complain about someone's past habit that got on your nerves, this structure is the best. tended to is used to express past tendencies or habits. This phrase shows that someone usually did something. In fact, this structure focuses more on describing how things typically were in the past. She tended to avoid large crowds. He tended to speak quickly when nervous. They tended to forget important dates. This phrase directly refers to having a habit in the past. The verb following of appears in an ing form. I had a habit of oversleeping on weekends. He had a habit of leaving the lights on. She had a habit of humming while working. With expressions like whenever, when, and every time, you can express past habits or repeated actions. Whenever it rained, we stayed indoors. When he was in town, he visited us. Every time she cooked, she made too much food. By describing past events or conditions, you can indirectly refer to habits or repeated actions. Here, no specific structure is intended. Rather, the focus is more on conveying the idea conceptually. In those days, people wrote letters instead of emails. Back then, we watched movies on VHS tapes. During the war, they rationed food supplies. As a rule means generally or according to the usual, and is used to talk about constant habits or common practices in the past. As a rule, he didn't work on Sundays. As a rule, they went to bed early. As a rule, she avoided spicy food. By using negative structures, you can refer to not having a habit or a change in behavior in the past. He never used to drink coffee, but now he does. She didn't used to like classical music. They never went hiking before moving here. So, as you saw, there are various structures in English for talking about past habits or repeated actions, such as used to, would, the simple past tense with adverbs of frequency, and many other forms that I explained to you. Which structure you choose depends on the situation and which aspect of the past action you want to emphasize. But most of these are used interchangeably. I think to choose between these methods, what you're comfortable with and how you view past habit takes priority. Now, you know which structure to use, when and how to use them, so it is time to practice. You know what the best practice is? Put each these 10 methods in front of you and try to come up with several examples using these methods. You don't even need to write them down, just say the examples for each method out loud. Then try to talk about the habits you had in school, for example, and use these. You can even put your notes in front of you and get some help each time. To make sure you don't run out of things to say, give ChatGPT all these methods and ask it to ask you questions that you can use these structures to answer. You can both chat with it and talk to it in voice mode. How you ask? Watch this video. Also subscribe to our channel and don't miss the upcoming grammar videos. This video ends here and we'll see you in the next one. Happy learning.